page to print or anything else. And I tried highlighting everything and doing it that way, so it does.
What are you trying to do?
I got 9 o'clock.
Excel spreadsheet. If everybody could join us for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Morning, everybody. First off, I need a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, a motion to approve the minutes of April 7th, 2025 regular meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approve employee claims filed with the county auditor of $2,005.97.
So moved.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Next, approve the tax abatement for the City of Lamont.
Oh, that was in your folder. Gina sent that over. There's, I want to say it was like $400 and some. There's not much we can do. 443. It's a court order. They took deed to this property in April 25. So with the court order, there's absolutely nothing we can do about it.
Make a motion to approve the tax abatement for the City of Lamont.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next, approve the hiring and transfer of conservation employees. Jeremy Whittle, Operations Supervisor, effective April 28th at $30.53 per hour. Josh Baker, Seasonal Campground Host, $1,000 stipend, effective April 15th, 2025. Jordan Garrey, Seasonal Conservation Technician Intern, $15 per hour, effective April 16th, 2025. Need a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I think most seasonals you have to have.
Two more. Yeah, I'll have them on the agenda here coming up. We're just waiting on some more paper.
Forget. Thank you, Ben.
Yep.
Through fiscal year 26 budget appropriation.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, is there any questions on that? It's something we're required by code to do. I just pulled the figures from our budget. This needs to be approved.
I'll make the motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Approve the liquor license for Buchanan County Fair Association. As you know, they had a board change and we had to redo their
Ownership, and now it's just their annual renewal.
Make the motion to approve the liquor license for Buchanan County Fair Association.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next on the agenda is approve a letter of support for the Liberty Trail project. That's a trail actually within the City of Independence that starts on Bland Boulevard and runs south toward Triangle Park where the lake is out by Prairie Hills. And they're trying to put in a trailhead there, people to utilize to access the trail. That trail actually starts all the way down by the school and works its way south to Bland Boulevard, crosses Bland, and then heads on out. But it gets a lot of heavy use, especially with the development of the housing that we have out there. And I have a sample template that they sent to me that they would like us to pretty much mirror. This is to the Buchanan County Community Foundation. They're trying to approve for a grant. On behalf of the City of Independence, I am writing to express my strongest support for the grant application submitted for the Liberty Trailhead project. This project represents a significant opportunity to enhance our community's infrastructure, promote well-being, and improve the quality of life for Independence and Buchanan County residents. Trails and thoughtfully developed trailheads are far more than just recreational amenities. They are vital community connectors. They provide safe and accessible spaces for physical activity, walking, running, biking, encouraging healthier lifestyles for people of all ages and abilities. In today's world, where opportunities for outdoor recreation and connection with nature are increasingly valued, trails offer invaluable benefits for both physical and mental health. For a community of independent size, the impact of such developments is particularly profound, like larger metropolitan areas that may have vast park systems. Well-maintained local trails provide essential, close-to-home recreational opportunities. They enhance quality of life by making our community a more attractive place to live, work, and raise a family, and are amenities that current and prospective residents actively seek out. They promote community cohesion by serving as linear parks, connecting neighborhoods, parks, and schools, and become natural gathering places where residents can interact and build a stronger sense of community. They provide equitable access by offering free recreational opportunity, ensuring that all residents, regardless of income level, have access to safe spaces or places for exercise and enjoyment of the outdoors. They leverage natural assets by allowing us to showcase better and provide access to our beautiful natural surroundings, fostering environmental appreciation. Investing in our trail infrastructure is an investment in the health, connectivity, and vibrancy of Independence. Trailheads serve as the crucial starting points for these experiences, welcoming users and providing necessary support for their recreational pursuits. The Liberty Trailhead project aligns perfectly with the goal of creating a more livable, healthy, and connected Buchanan County. The City of Independence fully supports this initiative and recognizes the considerable positive impact it will have. We sincerely appreciate Buchanan County Community Foundation's commitment to improving our region, and we urge you to give this important community project your strongest consideration for funding. Thank you for your time and dedication in Buchanan County.
I assume you're just gonna mirror something off like
Yes.
that. Yeah,
Yes,
I'll make the motion to include a letter of support for the Liberty Trailhead project.
thank you.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Are you gonna update it? Okay.
So I get flustered. You can see.
I figured that could be coming.
Yeah. Okay, next, and it's for discussion, place on file the following manure management plans. FCT LLP, Byron Township, Section 10.
I make a motion to place the following manure management plans on.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Okay, Amber, you're up, 9:15. Oh, we're early. Early.
Yeah, resolution?
Yeah, so kind of. I had a meeting with the EMS Association this past week, and they are forging ahead with their planning process. Tried to bring up a copy for each of you, but all I could get page 1, so we'll get it going. But they're doing a,
I'm not able to print more than page 1 either.
I can
Okay.
probably help with that. It's probably just the page they're out.
They might have.
I don't know. Anyway, they're doing a survey with all the area first responders, organizations, whether it's in Stanley or Hazelton or wherever, Brandon, trying to gauge where they're at, personnel, trying to figure out ages and where they're at, because we have almost 60% of our volunteers right now are 50 years plus, which means we have a age out issue that's also to do a complete inventory of where they are on equipment. There's only 3 transport services in the county. We've got Fairbank, Jessup, and AMR currently out of Buchanan, out of the hospital to serve our county. Now, we do get some help from area surrounding counties or fringe areas of the county. But those are our three primaries. And what we wanted to do was put together a inventory where we're at so we can really put our budget together. So they're working very hard with all the people on the EMS advisory board, trying to gather all that information prior to putting this on our upcoming ballot. And what I drafted was a letter of support that I would like to have the board approve to send to the EMS advisory board, but also publish to the residents so they understand what we have going on. And I would welcome any input after we talk about this, on how we want to wordsmith this letter, if there's anything we want to do or change, whatever. The Buchanan County Board of Supervisors has approved the recommendation of the EMS Advisory Board to pursue the formation of the Buchanan County EMS Ambulance Service. This would be a county-owned and operated service to the areas of the current county currently served by AMR and based out of the Buchanan County Health Center. Jessup and Fairbank would retain their current ambulance services and be subsidized by the county levy. In addition, local communities with first responder services will also be subsidized with funding to improve equipment and services. The following cities all have first responder services: Brandon, Wasqueton, Raleigh, Winthrop, Lamont, Hazleton, Aurora, and Stanley, and Independence is working on getting their certification also. The intent is to add the levy to the November 25th ballot for voter approval. The advisory board is currently in the process of finalizing their proposal for a levy rate up to 75 cents per thousand of taxable valuation. Public information meetings will be held throughout the county this summer to get the message out. More details will be following. Any questions or comments?
Sure, I got some things that I could probably add. I haven't seen any requests for proposals out yet about whatever private entities are out there probably already doing it better than we could start up with. The other things would be, obviously,
Why would we pay another person? I'm curious. Why would you spend taxpayers' dollars to pay another service because that service bills? So they're getting money from the county, taxpayer money from the county, plus they're gonna bill the taxpayer. So they're getting paid twice over for the same service. I'm just curious as to what that mindset is.
the mindset that I have is just the capitalism mindset, is that they're in competition with other organizations, and we create an undue, it's harder to compete against a public organization than a private organization. So when the public organization sets up, they have less overhead costs and conversations like that. And so their competition is a lot different. It's a different animal. So that's one concern that I would have is to say, hey, let's make sure that we did identify if there are private organizations willing to expand. Maybe Jessup, maybe Fairbank Ambulance Service, maybe they're willing to expand their area.
They're not private, they're city owned.
Fair enough, but those are existing organizations, and that's what a request for proposal is all about, is to request the information from existing entities in the public. So I would go back to number one. My number one concern is requests for proposals. We haven't, as far as I've seen, sent out any requests for
I don't
proposals.
even think we're there at this point in time. We're just trying to say that we want to do a county run ambulance to where we would have control of it.
I think the sentiment we heard from residents when we put the ballot measure forward the last time was, as long as it's anything but somebody like AMR, that they're in favor of it. And the problem is when you're paying a for-profit entity to run an ambulance service such as that, the corporation is going to be grabbing profits. Your actual workers aren't the ones that are getting compensated well. It is the company. And I would invite you to speak with any of the key people that are current employees of AMR and they will tell you the same exact thing. I think we can, as a county-run organization, we can provide a better pay scale, better benefits, and better service to our residents than what we can with a private entity. They're gonna take a lot more ownership in the service they provide. Bear in mind that Fairbank and Jessup is 100% volunteer operating. And we're looking at hiring people and compensating them for their service. And fortunately, Mr. Gissel is in the audience, who was very much involved when we went from area ambulance to AMR, and the pool of companies that provide those services is pretty shallow.
We had one,
Yeah.
AMR, came forward. It's the only thing we put out abroad. But
Yeah.
in here for them, and we never got proposals from anybody but AMR.
How long ago was that?
5 years.
And, yeah, you're in the last year of that first contract, aren't you?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So 5 years old. I hear that.
It's gone up considerably since I signed that first contract.
Yes, it is. And I guess one of the things we have to make residents aware of, right now, we're paying as a county third of the cost to contract with AMR. The hospital's picking up a third and the city of Independence paying a third. This contract expires next year. Independence has said they are no longer participating. It's gonna be on the county and the hospital.
The other part we need to remember is that code is written in specific ways. That's county run hospital, county run ambulance. So the code is written that way. We can't do something outside of the code without levy money.
They did recently modify the EMS levy stipulations that it can be used for hiring personnel and paying wages, that type of thing, which was not in the original version of the bill, but one of the huge costs other than personnel is your equipment. And we would have to start out with used ambulances to start with, because there's no way you can afford to spend $250,000 or more per ambulance to start an ambulance service. So
Setting up the budget and the business plan, that's
what they're working on right now.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Have they looked at how much time they're kind of looking at? Because I'd recommend about 3 years. It doesn't have to be exactly accurate, but.
Well, they hope to have their budget and everything in place by June or July. Currently, they did add the mayor of Jessup, Mayor of Winthrop, and the city of Independence to serve on their advisory board to help them pull all the numbers together and that type of thing. And they've been valuable, offering a lot of input, so. Sure. I guess what I would like is to have the board at least approve a statement that we can release to the public and get it out to the newspaper. This is what our intention is, so voters are aware of what our intentions are and what we're looking to do. And that's partly my fault. Last year when we put this on the ballot, we were reluctant to anger AMR with the idea that we're going to start our own ambulance service. So we were very vague in our desires. And this time we want to be really upfront and let them know that
That was,
we're not intending to continue on forever with AMR.
I'll make a motion to move forward with that statement.
I'd like to see some modifications to it, but otherwise I'm sure we could wordsmith a statement,
What modification would you like to see?
including a request for proposal that's
We-
less than 5 years old.
We can't do a request for proposal with this tax money. We're asking for a levy. That levy has specific criteria in it. It's a code. It's a state code. We cannot change the state code.
Mhm.
We have to follow the state code. The state code says county ran ambulance.
If we decide to go that route, exactly. And that's
But if you're gonna,
2/3 of us have.
What are you gonna pay for the rest of it? Pay for it, but you don't go with the weather,
Besides the insurance funds,
what insurance?
there's no insurance.
that's,
If you're paying a third party, there's no insurance.
They're getting that.
that's one thing.
They're getting all of it.
They're getting all that plus they're billing us on top of it. Like I think to the
We're
tune of
paying a
500,
third.
We negotiate the subsidy, absolutely.
where are you gonna get the $500,000 or 600,000?
Would.
You're gonna have to pull
Well,
that out of the general fund.
You're implying that because I felt you did, but I don't know. Private entity. We declined the services of area ambulance because of the negotiations that went on with them and they did not want to continue.
Area ambulance pulled out.
Yeah.
They decided they were gonna leave. And we talked them into staying until we could get someone else on board, and that's where we ended up with AMR, because that's the only proposal we ever received.
And they would not do it without being subsidized.
Right, and we went back to the area ambulance and tried to talk them into giving us a proposal, and they didn't want to.
What were their arguments? Why did they want the subsidization?
They weren't making.
They can't
And
keep
that's,
it.
and that's meaning even, and I gotta say, at some point, after we signed the contract with AMR, area ambulance did come back and say they'd be interested in giving us a proposal when the contract ran out. Well, they didn't realize we'd signed a contract. But they're gonna be the same price as AMR. When you're dealing with a corporation like this, it's just like John says, they're sucking all the money out of it. Their employees are getting very little. And to my knowledge, MR has never done what they were supposed to have done with that contract.
Just
They've
the
never,
ambulances
they've
versus-
never lived up to their end of the contract completely.
That's correct.
And they still don't accept, Blue Cross Blue Shield.
And by going to a county-run ambulance, we would have the ability to accept Blue Cross Blue Shield, because Jessup does. Not a problem at all. It's just the negotiations, but AMR does not want to provide the pricing for in-network Blue Cross Blue Shield, is what it all boils down to. So it's coming back to our residents. They're having to pay premium prices for ambulance service. By doing it this way, it would be a tremendous benefit for residents, because they would be able to use Blue Cross Blue Shield, which covers 75 or 80% of the state of Iowa. So that's a huge selling point.
Well, there's no doubt that we need an ambulance service. None whatsoever.
We're agreed. And you can talk to other counties or other cities and ask them about ambulance service, and they will all tell you, you're not gonna make any money on it.
Okay.
It's providing a service to our residents. And bear in mind, we're offering the ability to have service. We're not paying for your service. We're paying for the opportunity to have the service. You're still gonna pay for that trip on an ambulance, whether it's through insurance or private funds.
Right, but at least this way we're collecting the insurance.
We have the readiness to provide,
We can do it for less expensive.
correct? And that's the goal.
Well, I don't see this as binding at this point, but we do need to go forward. So something needs to be done. Just look for to
Okay.
go forward with.
So do we have a second on that?
I'll make the second. Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
So this is just to publicize the letter of support, to basically let the public know what our goals are with this taxation that is going to go on the ballot in November. Is that
Exactly.
the correct plan? Okay. I need to get with the county attorney just to verify dates once we get a little closer for publications, because I do believe we have to go through public hearings again. Even though we have passed this as a need, an essential service,
And to get it on the ballot.
and to get it on the ballot, I think we have to do 3 public hearings.
We need to look into what the timing is.
Yes.
So that,
I believe it has to be completed 60 days before the election.
that's what we
I'll
thought.
get a hold of Josh and just make sure we're doing it right, because I don't want this on my end that something happens.
And just as a side note, we were really fortunate. We came within 0.7% of passing it the first time. And I think by better educating our residents on what the opportunity is, that it's gonna pass overwhelmingly. But, nobody wants to pay more taxes, but nobody wants to pick up the phone, call 911 and find out you can't get an ambulance. So it, strikes pretty close to home. And 75 cents or less is gonna be a very small fee to pay to have an ambulance service.
I had a gentleman explain it to me in a really good way. He said, nobody wants to pay more taxes. He said, but he said, so if I'm at Walmart and I go out to my car doesn't start. He said, I call right out to come get me. They call it to a truck. It takes them 3 hours to come pick my car up and haul it in. He said, that's an inconvenience. He said, but if I'm sick and I call an ambulance and I have to wait 3 hours, he said that could be life or death. So I thought, that is a very good way to explain that.
And that comes back to the importance of us helping subsidize these first responder agencies that are in Brandon or Stanley or Aurora.
Help get them training.
Give them training and the equipment that they can have a go bag in their vehicle and respond immediately to a problem that it may take 10 minutes or 15 minutes, 20 minutes for an ambulance to get there. And Chris is out in the audience. He knows what that golden hour is, but there's a ticking time bomb on people when they're having medical emergencies, and getting them at least some immediate first responder care is really important until that ambulance shows up and takes them to the hospital. So, thank you, everybody. Okay. County right-of-way crossing ordinance. Keith, I think that was something you brought.
Oh, we better do the public hearing.
Oh, we're ready. We got the time.
The rest of you.
So again, this is just from the.
Sorry, do we need to open this?
Yes. Open the public hearing,
Can I
please.
get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank
All
you.
in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so this is from the 2020 zoning ordinance, under accessory buildings. So again, we are changing the wording that states an accessory building, which is not part of the main building, shall not occupy more than 30% of the required rear yard and shall not exceed 18 feet in height. However, this regulation shall not be interpreted to prohibit the construction of a 440 square foot garage on the minimum rear yard. To simplify the statement and turn it into an accessory building or structure, which is not part of the main building, shall not exceed 28 feet in height. So that is that first one, and then the second one is on the bulk requirements. Changing that 18 feet on accessory buildings to the 28 feet for the R1, R2, and R3 residential district. And again, this is the second reading, but if anybody in the public has questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Do you have any questions?
I think this will be a welcome change to residents. I've heard a lot of comments on it, but the restrictions were far too much from the prior ordinance.
That is correct, yes, yeah.
Hearing no comments, I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Favor of doing the second reading of the crossing ordinance, or of the ordinance on the zoning.
So moved.
And the third hearing, having the third hearing next Monday, the 21st.
Yep.
At 9:15.
Yep, that's good.
Sounds good to me.
We need to vote on that yet.
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Okay, now we'll go to your county right-of-way crossing ordinance.
Okay, so this, it's a conversation about having, utilities or private utilities, specifically have a process to go through to make sure that they're not, getting into any limited site distances. So the concept is, Iowa Code, chapter 4079B 16 and 17 kind of get into two conversations. The 16, starts talking about, basically if you're driving over a hill, you don't want to run into a construction zone and then not have enough time to stop. So that's kind of what this ordinance would do, is to set up that safety barrier. Anytime that you would see like a no passing zone or something to that effect, you don't really want a pipeline just on the back side of that, because you don't, or anything else crossing the right of way if somebody's gonna be doing construction in that area. So that's what the basis of this is. Iowa Code allows it. The second thing that they get into is affidavit paid to damages on owners, on landowners. So that's the 479B 17 conversation. So just to make sure that the damages that are paid from pipeline to landowners actually follow through with that law to say, okay, we're documenting with the county auditor, or however we would decide to set that up, to say that they were actually paying those damages out. So you have any discussion on that, or any questions about what that would be?
Is this something that's already in place in the ordinance, or is this something that Brian already handled? I don't know, because I'm just asking.
There's currently a state code,
Okay,
and I think when they work with construction contractors, pipeline operators, or utility, they're required to have signing and that type of thing, notifying people.
Sure, during the construction process.
Correct.
But if there was a blowout or something to that effect, this is what covers those emergencies. So when I worked for the utilities board, obviously this gets pushed back to the counties to establish this. When I asked Brian if we had anything in our ordinances, he said, no, we do not have anything into effect at this point.
Because we have a state code that covers it.
For
And
the
okay,
construction aspect,
right, so
but
I,
not the post-construction.
right, so I called Bremer County, my friend who is a supervisor at Bremer County, because I see that's where this came from. This was part of that bigger lawsuit that they had against the pipelines and stuff like that.
Right.
We don't have any pipelines, we don't have any hazardous pipelines. The only one we have hooks onto Poet and goes north and west. We don't have a dog in this fight.
Well, this is one of those things that you get into place before you actually have it. Right?
Well, and it's also one of these things that can get you sued.
Okay.
You know, that's why we didn't do this before. That's why we didn't join onto that lawsuit. Because their county attorneys said, no, this is not what we do. So they had to hire an outside attorney to do this. This was the reason why we didn't do anything with that one. It was gonna go across the northern section of Buchanan County. It's no longer gonna go across the northern section. It is something that
right.
Poet wants. And Poet is a business owner. They pay good tax money. So I don't feel like we have a need to do this at this point in time. I also don't feel like, there's charges now that's gonna go to the utility companies. There was a charge section. And why would we charge our utility companies to run their lines and stuff in the right of way? Because that cost is gonna be pushed on back onto the consumer, making those prices more expensive.
Valid argument. Nevertheless, Iowa Code allows us to do this, so that's my recommendation going forward.
I suppose maybe before any decision is made, this would be something that the county attorney should probably really go through with a fine tooth comb. So we don't,
Yeah.
and I'll be honest, I haven't read through it,
I read through it, it's really hard to read.
so we don't get.
It's not like our normal ordinances.
Get in trouble by any means, or we are not duplicating anything we previously have, or if it's already in place by the Iowa code, why would we duplicate it? I don't know. These are just points I'm bringing up.
When I researched this, when Keith sent the original email, I pulled up his codes and whatever. And to me, I think it is not really our current responsibility to dissect state code and pick and choose the fly stuff out of the pepper on these ordinances. That state code pretty much trumps anything that the county would do. And I don't feel that it's the best interest of whoever has to draft this thing, plus the cost of our county attorney to have to wade through it and push it forward. I don't think we're getting a good bang for our buck on it, because I don't think we really have an issue. And that's just my personal feeling.
When I talked to Brian, he was very concerned that it would charge the utility companies. to
So-
put that in.
We could actually put a provision into exempt, public utilities and leave it on private utilities.
It doesn't really allow private utilities into our right of ways.
The carbon pipeline is a private utility.
But we don't have the carbon pipeline going into our right of way at this point in time.
I agree. But this is not for today. This is for the future. So I'd rather not do this after the fact, after they say, well, you're singling somebody out.
But we're plagiarizing what this other county has already done. They hired an outside attorney because their county attorney said, no. And that really concerns me that, number one, we're piggybacking off somebody else's stuff. Because this wasn't ours. We didn't contribute to that pot.
This was actually at an ISAC meeting for right-of-way crossings, just before the ISAC meeting you two attended. So this is what they suggested to push out the other comments.
And
So once again, to reiterate a little bit, before any action is taken, it might be in your best interest just to send it up to the county attorney and say, hey, this is what we're looking at. Can you please review this? Is it going to duplicate what we're already required to do by the Iowa code?
It would be interesting if Brian was here, that we could have a conversation with him on his thoughts too, but.
Right.
And he's listening, and
He's on vacation.
he's
He's at NACE this week, so he was planning not to be here this week.
He is listening to the meeting. I muted him when he first signed in because I could hear all the background and I can't get him unmuted. So at least he is listening to what's going on.
Do we need any action here? Do we just want to,
Unless you want to take no action until further information is available through the county attorney. And you at a later date. I mean, that's up, however you guys want to word it.
Yeah, this is up for discussion, so I would suggest it.
Okay, so I'll word it.
since this is your passion, and I'll let you pursue it.
Just
Chat with Brian and the county attorney and see if this is something you want to pursue. That will move to discuss the third floor asbestos and mold mitigation. And Chris is here to give us all his insights. It's a mess, and
wanna come forward, Chris?
It is a mess. Where do you want me at?
yeah, you come on right up here, front in the center. It's got a stiff spring.
There's a camera up here, so that makes people easier to see kind of what they're looking at.
Well, I can answer or try to answer whatever questions you have. It's definitely a mess. We've mitigated it so it can't grow. It can't get out. We've put up a negative air pressure chamber on it right now. Any clean air that goes into that filter is getting shot outside, so there's no clean air giving it reproductivity of the food to keep growing.
Yeah.
This is mold, not asbestos.
It is, so there's both.
Okay.
So state law requires that an environmental specialist has to do your testing for mold or for asbestos. Advanced Environmental out of Waterloo, who the courthouse works with, came and tested the floor, the trim, the glue, and the wall, and the fittings around the water heater. the floor, the glue behind the trim, and the fittings are all positive for asbestos. So we will have to have them, because state law, remove the asbestos and do the abatement. Once we get the walls, the ceiling, contents and all that worked out. We worked with Travis and met with, Beth from the Clerk of Courts on what we want to do with some of that sensitive information that has to be kept. There's a couple things in there that have to be kept, and so the recommendation from the consultants and Travis is we're just gonna clean it with a HEPA vacuum the best we can, and we're gonna put it in totes, sealed up. It's never to be opened, and if it is, it'll have to be opened with one of, I mean, hopefully never in life it has to be opened. You're talking cases from the early 1900s, but should it be, it just has to be opened up with a company, and a negative air pressure chamber will have to be rebuilt, and it'll just be put into storage wherever it's gonna go. The other things can be just, thrown away. I mean, we'll take them away and dispose of them. Beth has been gone through it. We took pictures, brought them out to her. She went through them. She's been talking to her higher ups on what they want to do with it. A lot of it can go. The file cabinets are empty. It would be my recommendation to just get rid of them. Didn't sound like Lyle was gonna use them or have a need for them. County wants to keep them. We can definitely clean them, sanitize them, get them into a negative air pressure, clean them again, and then throw them away. So
You have a recommendation.
I don't think we need.
That upstairs is a filing cabinet graveyard.
Okay.
We do not need any more.
then they're,
And with so
they're
much thing-
empty. There's nothing in them.
So much of it has gone digital that we don't need.
Correct.
Paper copies anymore.
So there's 3 phases to it. I didn't get the results from Travis until Friday afternoon, and then we went into the weekend. We also have a scope of work that's provided that we have to follow. That's basically Travis has to give the state 10 days notice per state law before he can even touch asbestos. Every day that went on since we got the call for this, just are more days that get booked up for us. So we can't start till the 28th, but Travis can't even come in until the 2nd week of May. So they're 4 or 5 weeks out. Plus we have that 10-day window that they have to give the state. So in those 10 days, we would have all the walls, ceilings, everything gutted out that we legally can. And then their team will come in, do the floor. And that's all pending the adjuster wants the floor out.
Meet with him today.
Yeah. So if someone just lets me know when he's here, I can come back and meet with him as well.
Okay.
I'll be around all day. If the adjuster says that it can stay, then we'll just antimicrobial clean it. I would gut it, but because you don't know how much steam went under that. So if it even could get down under that, and the adjuster will know more when he looks at it today. But if so, Travis will be the one to come in. They're gonna be here gutting the trim and the base or the glue anyway.
So we have an itemized estimate of your 3 phases. Would you mind just giving folks the broad strokes for the 3 phases?
Yeah, so phase 1 is just where we're at today. From the second we got the call, until today. Phase 2 will be the demo. Basically phase 1 was coming in, meeting with Travis and all those guys, meeting with Lyle, Don, getting the negative air pressure chamber set up so that it can't continue to come out. We're basically not letting it grow. So it's at a standpoint now. So that's what our equipment's doing up there, is keeping it secluded. Phase 2 will be the demo. So that'll be that hallway that's up there. That I don't know if you've been up there, Keith, but if you go into that a little hallway that goes into that door, we'll have to barricade off the other 2 doors. I think one's the sheriff's office and one's an old laundry room. And we'll make a negative air pressure chamber in there. So we'll bring the components out, and that's where we'll clean them, seal them, and dispose of them. The components that are going to get thrown away will get double bagged inside that negative air pressure chamber. They'll get wiped down with antimicrobial twice, and then we'll bring them down. And then they'll go into a truck or a dumpster and be disposed of. Basically, phase 2 is the demo on our part. That's once we're done with our part, then Advanced Environmental will come in and they will take out the floor and all the asbestos if that's what the adjuster or the county decides they want done. And then basically phase 3 is, and then once they're done, then we'll come back in with our antimicrobials, our cleaning, our sealants, and we'll go over everything, seal it all up. And then Advanced Environmental will come back and they'll do what's called post mold mitigation testing. So they'll test all the air, they'll test everything that's up in there, make sure all the microns of mold and water damage, all that are gone. Once they give a green light, we're done. You're back to normal. We did look, like we talked with Lyle and Rick Wolfcool, there's no air handling system up there. So that's a huge blessing to the county, is that you guys are about probably getting close to turning your air conditioner on. And so there's no systems up there sucking that up and then disposing everywhere. So we've truly blocked it off so it can't go anywhere. So it's really nice that you guys don't have air up there right now.
For people's education, I guess, what this is on the top floor of the courthouse is the old jail. And there's several rooms up there, and the court services used this one room and kept it locked for storage of their records. And we had a steam pipe that feeds the radiator that developed a leak and leaked steam into this for an unknown amount of time that has successfully peeled all the plaster and paint and grown mold that's an inch thick, and it's nasty. And it's pretty well ruined everything that was in there. And we've got it sealed off. And we're just gonna have to do a better job as a county checking those locked rooms to make sure that everything's okay. Because this is the second time we've had a leak up there that, and with the building this age, those things happen.
We've had three pipe breaks within the last year.
Yeah.
Not good.
So just a little FYI, looking at the pricing, this has been obviously turned into the insurance, and just a reminder that our deductible is 10,000. So that will probably come out of the capital projects line.
Right.
And then hopefully the insurance will pick up, these may the rest of things.
The insurance will pick up the water damage, but not mold mitigation.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Yeah, I
It's
just,
nice to have your experience there. Thanks.
well, I actually talked to the insurance company.
Yeah.
And she said, we do water. And I said, but I said, you know, I said, that's an environmental hazard. I said, I can't. I said, I don't understand why they stopped covering mold. So she's just gonna have assigned an adjuster to it and is gonna send him out and we'll figure out what we can do from there. We could probably also turn the bill in from Brecky if this ends up being an insurance quote for the repair of that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, you definitely can.
I don't think we've got that yet, but I will let Ann be aware of that. And once we do get it, I can scan it and send it to John.
So with that, can I get a motion to approve Chris to move forward with his plans?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you, Ms. Cass. That's it.
Chris.
Just so you know, Lyle's been awesome to work with.
Oh, he's,
So
yeah.
appreciate that. And James, thanks.
Yeah, if you need anything, just give him a call.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes. Okay.
Ryan, your turn.
Like going on after that.
Come on
You've
up.
gotta be a lot more. It's gonna be more sense talking to you than.
Can I request like a 2 to 3 minute recess? Okay.
Sure.
Thanks for coming in.
So everyone's in
Yeah, let's open it up for
Do you
public comment.
want, Ryan, do you want that TV?
Yes,
Okay, the hookup's down here and I can turn it on.
I don't want to go on after public comment. Where should I sit?
Right there's fine.
Okay.
And wherever your cords are.
Okay, we're open for public comment. Anybody have anything to go to the cause?
Okay, thank you, you're here. Yeah. It's number 2. Right?
Thanks, Andrew.
Always. Five? Yep. Maybe it already.
There any meeting in here?
Nope.
So I take notes. Always take notes.
I got one thing.
Sure.
I think Buchanan County is very blessed with the employees that we have working under the department heads and how they really take, into Buchanan County as a serious entity to work
That
for.
works for you?
And I appreciate all their time and dedication to the job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Amber Harrison, have you met? We have to ask, she's our zoning director, so this would be something that she would read line. But I need the states first, so.
It's just more connect after this. Happy to. You going to Coza? Coza this? Okay.
It's good for me, there's you feel it.
Okay, okay, I'll do my best with the screen size here.
For the public, this is real estate software, GIS. Ryan reached out,
We're on ISAC.
around the ISAC. I visited with him down in Des Moines at training. I told John and Dawn about him, and they went up and talked to him, and that's what brought us to this point.
We currently use a different software system in the assessor's office, which the entire county uses for things. This, actually our GIS department really likes this because it's real easy to add layers in it. And as Ryan gets into this, he'll explain things, but it's, they have a lot of counties within the state that use their software.
It's Beacon.
So yeah, I'll start out with, I think how to start. There's a lot I want to show you. And then you mentioned Bremer County, so I'll make sure and show them. But you said you have a friend over there. So I'll start out with just this. I was actually looking at this map last night, and we work with every single county surrounding Buchanan County. Actually, we do have a little bit of history with Buchanan County. With the previous auditor, what was her name? Cindy, yeah. We're, long story short, you were one of the first adopters of our online permitting program. But I know, sometimes with turnover, things sit on the shelf and kind of fade away. So you don't have it at the moment. But our geo permit software, which is our online permitting, we're in about 35 counties right now. I reserved about 5 minutes at the end to talk about that. But the main thing I want to talk about today is Beacon. So what I want you to think about with Beacon is think of it like an online courthouse. As long as you know your name or your address, you are able to navigate this website. If you're a realtor, insurance, anyone that works in any of the surrounding counties that touch Buchanan County, I guarantee you've already used this website one way or another. So what I'm going to do is, I reserved about 20 minutes. Is that okay? I should have asked.
So,
Sorry.
you're good.
So I'm just going to walk through the website and I'll just kind of show you some basic stuff, and then I'll take questions from you, public. I don't care. So the main focus today is just more to show it to you, just see what you think from there. So Beacon is in about 84 counties. Butler County signed with us last week. Proud to say. My boss said, "How long have you been working on that deal?" I said, 13 years. And they said, "How long have you been with Schneider?" I said, 13 years. So I'm going to start as local as I can to begin with. I'm going to start with Benton County. And no, I jumped ahead already. So there's two ways to enter the site. You do property search or via map. Almost all users, I would say 85 to 90%, use the property search because they already know the name and address, what they're looking for, doing business as.
I did use the other one though the other day.
What's that?
County. I said I did use going the other way for Blackhawk County.
Oh, you did?
Oh,
You used the
amazing.
map?
Yeah, it worked very well.
So I'll
click on the parcel and then
You
access.
make it bigger, then you find what you want, and then you click on the parcel.
stealing my demo.
Oh, sorry.
I was kidding. All right, so I'm just going to do very basic search. Let's do Smith, one of my cousins. Right, and so the first thing you see is you're going to see a tabular list of all the property owners with the last name Smith. And then also too, I can turn on and off these photos. Can you guys see that okay? Okay. And so I'm just going to pick a random property here. I always pick like a mansion. Let's see if I can pick something nicer. Is it excellent picking a trailer home? All right, this one looks nice. Okay. So the first thing you're going to see is you have the photos. So what we do is we pull from all the county databases on a nightly basis. The county employees do not have to do any extra work. There's different systems. The assessor has a system. The auditor has, Tyler Solutions. Tyler. So then, so they have a system. So we're pulling all those changes on a nightly basis. That's very important because when things are being transferred and transacted here, people want to see it on the website the next day. This is very important for when you're applying for maybe a bank loan. The banker will go to actually Beacon to get that information about that property. So up here at the top, I can print this. I can, what did I do?
It's probably just, but maybe it's updating.
My HDMI.
There it is.
All right, there's my backup just in case, but my HDMI is really sensitive. All right. So as I scroll through, this is what we call our parcel report. So all of these headings, these are pulling from different data. I'm logged in as an admin, so I'm showing you everything. So sometimes the internal user, aka the county employee, can see a little bit more if you want to. That's completely up to you. We have our sales history here. I have all the records of permits, taxation, and valuation. Obviously, right now, this is getting hit a lot because people are getting those valuations in the mail. So the first thing they always do, right, is they go to their property. And then what's the next thing they do? They go to their next door neighbor's property. So as I click on the map, you can see it zooms me right to my property. So the next thing I can do is I can hover over. I can look at my neighbor's property if I need to. And I can look at that information if I want to look at values, recent sales. If I go back to the original property though, now I'm in a whole different area where I can actually start to do more research. I can do everything from, hey, I want to look up other properties similar to my property. I can hit year built, total living area, and let's do sale date in the last, let's be conservative, or let's say 6 months. And then I hit search, and it did it again, didn't it?
So this would be similar to comps that the realtor used to look at. Correct.
I apologize for that.
I do like how you guys labeled the parcel ID, so
Yeah.
that way people can write down the list of parcel IDs and we'll come back to and.
Yep.
And figure out how to search that.
Yep. So here, I just did those. I had 32 results. Now, that's a lot, but I can actually then go to the map and it'll zoom me out to where all those are located all over. Let's say I need the comps specifically in Vinton. Now I'm actually starting to look at the comps. Okay, let's go over here. Now we've got 4 comps in the area that then I can actually look at recent sales in the last 6 months. Or, I can go back and do last 3 months. Another common question we get is the sales list. Hey, I just need a listing of sales from March of 2025. There you go. Click, go down here, scroll all the way to the bottom. I can hit download. So no phone calls. I'm doing this at 8 o'clock at night. I have all the information I need. One of the greatest compliments, so I live in West Des Moines and we were looking at houses in Norwalk, which is Warren County. And the realtor's like, there's this website I use all the time. It's the county assessor website. And she showed it to me as Beacon. My wife's like, oh, here we go. So of course I go, oh, who sells that, right? That kind of thing. I try not to bounce around too much, but that's the basic of it is search your property, go to the report, and then you can go to the map. I'm just going to click on a random one here. Year built 1860. Wow, that's a. So I zoom in, there's a property there. We'll go a little ag. So now I can zoom in on this property. Let's say I need to do some measuring, like this area right here. It's kind of an interesting area to measure out. I'll zoom in, don't worry. Let's say I just want to see generally what that area is. Okay, that's 0.1 acre. So it's just a way to do a lot of the research. What we see is that more than 30 to 40% of the users are accessing the site outside of the hours of 8 to 5 p.m. So the way I like to translate that into is those are people that are not calling your office on Monday morning, like filling things out. Another thing too, we always notice is that during the, when assessment notices are sent out, we always naturally see that spike. And what's nice is it allows people to do their own research on their own time. And not just coming in, slamming their fist and saying, you rose my property value. This allows the user to do their own research and look at other comparable properties, which is always nice. Also on this, I'll just jump here. So forgot to go right to this. So I'm gonna back up a bit. I want to show you, I'll show the group what I showed the supervisors at ISAC. Here's your property, tax distribution. This is something that all supervisors have asked us for in Iowa. And what it does is it clearly outlines where every single penny of the taxes are going to. Moreover, not in this specific county, they like to show the year over year. So let's say your value is, and I just had this discussion with my wife last weekend, no joke. Just because the value of your house goes up 50 grand and goes up, let's say 25, 30%, that does not mean your taxes are going up 25 to 30%. And now that we have that historical data, the transparency to show that, it makes for much calmer citizens. I'm speaking to you, the supervisors, which is good. But more importantly, everything is clearly outlined and shown exactly where it is. And I always like to point out too, this came from Georgia. He specifically wanted per day on where those property taxes are going. So the Ag Extension Office, this property pays 2 cents per day. So I just think it's a neat thing. Or here, the state levy 5 cents per half year. So you know exactly where each and every penny are going to. At the end of the day, that's what we all want is as much transparency as possible. Jumping back to the map too, I'm the son of a farmer from Illinois, so I always like to show this stuff off too. I pick a random ag property. I always like showing this part because when I showed this to my dad, he goes, "You have no idea how much money this would, or time this would save me." So it shows all the sales and everything for this. I just picked a random ag property. We also have something called a soil report. And now it will break down all of those CSRs, the CSR2s.
That's what I was just gonna.
So thinking from a buyer perspective and also to, my wife's from Grinnell and her grandfather passed and he just said a third of 3 siblings. He just said a third for the ag property. And as we all know, a third can turn into a lot of fun discussion. Being 3 of you yourself. So the reason why I say that is, so then actually what we did is we pulled up Beacon and we were able to look at soil reports and contour lines and everything. This guy wanted this pond and he's like, a pond is worth X amount. I go, well, according to the assessor, a pond is technically valued, I think, at $0, just the way things work. So it's just, don't quote me on that, but.
Sure.
Not as much as the 90 CSR.
Correct. Thank you. That's what I was getting at. And there was forest area and all that. So they were trying to just figure all that out. But having this in front of them, they were able to quickly then just make a more calmer decision.
So if I put a pond on my property, then I don't have to pay taxes on that portion of the
The
property?
CSR is, yeah, but you got to pay to build a pond though. So I'll let you figure that one out.
All right.
So if you want to save $5 a year on property tax but spend 20 grand to build a pond or whatever it costs now. All right, so I like to jump over to Delaware as well. I'll go straight into the map. This doesn't have to be just for property. This can be used as a tool for anything and everything within the county. I know what you store for the DOT, I believe.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So the last time I looked at Beacon was when you were setting up the permitting process. So I had
Okay.
a question about your pictometry too, to see if you have some historical data in there as well.
We are not pictometry, but we show pictometry. Do you guys have Eagle View pictometry in Buchanan?
I think we have ARC is typically what we use.
Okay. I'll go to that here in a second here. So the reason I like to show up Delaware County is they have a club called some kind of barn quilt club. And so they needed a place to put all their barn quilts. And of course, it's not working, of course. I was going to display all the barn quilts. There they are. So they put all their barn quilts on the Beacon map. Not only that, so I'm a huge GIS nerd, mapping nerd. It's location with information. So now there's a report. There's a report associated with it. They have a photo included. I go back to my map. It'll show me the exact location where that barn quilt is located. When I zoom out, they also have all of these driving tours. that we helped create for them. So then they can do their different tours. So
It's been fantastic.
I'm more showing this as just the versatility of it, that it's not just taxes and zoning. Obviously, that's the foundation of it.
What's the process to add in like tourism? Like we have some, the Amish have grocery stores and lumber yards and things like that. As you mentioned, there's a huge tourism push in our community.
If it's already created in a digital format, it's something we just put up there for you. Yeah, so like everything from, Alameda County has all of their, GPS monuments with the documents associated. So now an engineer can just go on the beacon, click on that monument location, and the PDF just goes up for them.
We do the same thing with water trails and have take down, take out. Places, forage information, that type of thing.
I'll be very brief on this, but we also have, just kind of want to get going too much here, but we also have like EMS boundaries. I just heard you guys talking about that. I heard you talk about pipeline. Rice County, Minnesota has all their pipelines on there behind a password. And that's more,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
yeah. So anything underground generally is behind a password for internal use. Also too, you can give temporary use to, like, let's say an engineer that's working in town. You can just give them temporary access to give them a little bit more information.
So you're becoming that central repository of all the data.
Yeah, we are the data aggregators is what that's why I always say we are your online courthouse.
I love the data analytics in this.
And it's funny, I've skipped over, what's that?
See, I like that your data analytics. So where I can just say, this is really what you're paying for property tax on your property.
Yes,
And this is where every penny goes.
correct. So I want to show, here, I'll just go back to Ben, just because I have it up. It's kind of silly, but this is probably one of our most popular uses. Is their zoning still in the room?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I think she bought it.
So like, let's say I just need to contact everyone within 200 feet for some random ordinance. I just select the one property, hit buffer, creates that. Now I go to my results and it worked perfect. Live demos are the best, I tell you. Let me reset it.
That would help you, wouldn't it, Amber?
Yeah.
Or she have
You
something
can
similar.
kind of already do that.
Yeah.
There you go. So you hit results and then I just go here. I just created address labels for everyone within 200 feet, those two properties.
So big.
How much time would that save?
So this is our simplest module and is by far the most popular, the oohs and ahs. City clerks will call me like out of the blue and say, can you please get Beacon solely just for that tool right there? So yeah, so there's a lot you can do with it. The neat thing is there's about 80, yeah, like I said, 83, 84 beacon sites in Iowa, and no two are exactly the same, but once you know how to use one of them, in theory, you know how to use all of them because it all has the same structure, which is nice. So, last thing I guess I'll just show is statistics, just because who I'm in front of. 365 days. Benton County had, on average, they get over 10,500 page views. They had 282,000 individual visits over the last 365 days. And then you can actually start to break that down. I always like to show this because you see the spike there. So I have theory just from growing up on a farm. Thanksgiving and Christmas, you always see the spikes because everyone sits around and talks about it and they think they know who owns what and everything. And I'm sitting there with my phone actually telling them.
You're wrong.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
So yeah, but I've done demos for this, but I always like showing those because you can see those natural spikes.
So how much of that spike was you?
What else?
Do you have time? Do you want to talk to them about the permitting?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I actually have it queued up. But it's PowerPoint and I'm just gonna rip through it if that's okay. You already know how awesome I am, so we'll skip over this. Oh, shoot. Wrong order. Ignore. Look up. Okay. I'll rip through these as quick as I can. So we have an online permitting software as well called GeoPermits. And what's nice about it is the backstory is we already have all the data. And so so people are literally printing out the copy of the parcel report and coming in and writing it onto the piece of paper. This county in Minnesota challenged us about 15, 20 years ago to say, hey, there's got to be a better way. You already have the data. So with a little bit of grant money and actually COVID kind of helped boost, the user or the, how do I say, just got people more motivated to do it. Today we have about 85 to 90 clients that have this. And really what it is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So think of it from a contractor perspective. I can have a contractor log in. It's at night. I don't have to leave the job site to go fill out a form. The communication's better. So it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I can do online payments. The advantage with it is it's unlimited use from a county perspective. We don't care if you have one workflow or if you have 50. It's up to you on how you want to do that. A lot of county engineers have actually started to kind of be the pushers of it lately. This is the old way of doing things. Think about your silos. And this is why I like to bring this up, is what GeoPermits does is it breaks down those silos where a piece of paper has to go from one office to the next and it just sits there. This creates that natural flow of things. And then not only that, a lot of people don't realize when you have to apply for one permit, you might have to apply for 2 or 3 others. So it includes that as part of that workflow. So think like a new build, like, oh, I have to apply for an address, a new address, that type of thing, a driveway permit, whatever it might be. So this is currently all the departments that use this, and this is just a list I'm always quietly updating. Top center there, you have your engineering, your drainage, your right-of-way permits, public health in the top right, everything from septic to radon testing, whatever it might be. So there's a wide range of use for this. Boone County uses it for golf cart storage rental. They own, I don't know, counties own random things, and they've just always had to manage this golf cart storage, part of some public course. And so they use this to kind of help manage those. So you go into Beacon, hit apply for permit. It takes you right into the permit. I'm skipping over a few of the steps here just for time, but I like to show this one here. So this takes you on that path right here. You can see the step-by-step. So you can start and stop a permit at any time. It's not an all or nothing where you have to fill out the whole thing.
Does it save your information you put in?
Absolutely. Yes, which is very important. Think of, like I said, getting back to the contractor type stuff. You always naturally will see just a huge spike in activity on here on a rainy day. And that's where they can catch up on those. And then also too, there's map functionality as well. I can zoom in and I can draw what I'm trying to do. It's not survey grade. I'm looking at the engineer in the room. It's not intended to be survey grade. It's more just to get rid of the blank piece of paper trying to sketch something. It's just more trying to get a better idea of what you're trying to do.
Do you have some sort of disclaimer up there to remind everybody that?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. This is GIS. This is not survey grade, that whole thing. Right there, this is a nice thing too. It'll automatically pull that information. I've lived in my house for 15 years. I have no clue what my parcel ID number is, but Beacon knows what it is. So trying to eliminate some of those common errors and also improves that workflow there too. The yes, no questions, if you answer yes, it's kind of a choose your own adventure. It might take you on this path. If you say no, it'll take you on this path. There's a little bit more of that map sketch. You can upload files, photos, whatever it might be. Then also what it'll do is it'll take all that data and actually repopulate them back into your current print, your templates that you currently have. So you see there like City of Burlington, it's still like it'll have their logo and everything else there. Automated workflows. I'm going to get emails when it's my turn to do whatever I need to do on the inspection side. From a supervisor point of view, if you just need to be CC'd, you can be notified of certain things. From an assessor point of view, they'll get notified, when a permit is complete. So then that'll kind of trigger them to go out and revalue the property. Inspections, dashboards, reporting tools. Also too, you can register as a contractor. A common question I hear is people coming in, who do I use for this project? Technically, the county can't recommend a specific contractor, but they can say, here is a list of pre-approved contractors, with the county.
It'd be nice for us to have that list too.
What's that?
So that would be a nice list to have.
And then also too, you have that list, you can send out a mass email, right? December 1st. Here's the new things coming January 1st, that kind of thing. So that's pretty much it. So that is online permitting in I try to do it in 5 minutes. I apologize, but so it's come a long way, but what's really nice is it's more the versatility. It used to be more of a planning and zoning tool, but we're seeing it being used as a full county tool, which is really the whole intentions of it. Any piece of paper that someone has to fill out in theory can be put on there. And then also too, we see also is you'll have like a kiosk set up at the county courthouse. For people that just don't have a computer, just want to walk in. There's also part 2, you can apply on behalf of someone else. My grandfather's 95. He's did a big tiling project. We're from really flat ground in Illinois. And my grandpa's not applying online. That's what my brother and I did. But you know, he writes the checks. So but like, he just is like, here, do that part. So my point is you know, we accommodate to, you know, different, whatever it might be.
Yeah, on that topic.
We know it's not gonna go 100% online. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's usually the data migration, the big elephant in the room, and,
Yep.
and getting all the metadata aligned and
Yep.
making sure that the business sense is actually matching what you expect to
Yep.
see on the website. So can you kind of talk to that philosophy that you folks, I mean, there's gotta be some sort of quality assurance you jump into as far as.
In terms of the old data,
Yeah.
or we call it legacy data.
Right.
Well, the cool thing is we already worked with your plan and zoning historically, so we already have notes on what that looks like.
Sure.
Most counties, the planning and zoning department, I'm not putting you on the spot, it's stored in Microsoft Access or Microsoft Excel, one way or another. Yep. So what we do is we just assign a block of hours and we have a separate team working on that, actually parallel to the project getting started up. So 99% of the time it's Microsoft Access or Microsoft Excel that they have. If you just have papers in a filing cabinet that have not been scanned yet, that's not our specialty.
No, of course.
Yeah. But anything that's digital and has a unique ID, usually like a parcel ID associated, we can sync all that data up together.
Just by the nature of your organization, you've almost set up the standard though, as far as basically work-based rules.
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody would start to have to align to your standards. So that's usually a difficult conversation for folks to get in line with.
I really don't think that would be that hard.
Well, I kind of know where you're going at. I would actually say the opposite. We have had to align to Iowa standards.
Oh, well, that does make it. All right.
Yeah, we started in Iowa. Originally as ProMap. Our CEO is from Marshalltown. He's very involved with Iowa, whether I like it or not. But we started out as a company in Ames, Iowa. Okay. But now Schneider Geospatial, that's based in Indianapolis. We have an office in Ankeny, Iowa with about 10 people. So we've always had, you've seen me at ISAC a million times. It's there. This is just Boone.
I just love how much more it can do than what we currently have.
Well, it's free.
What?
I love the negotiated.
Oh, maybe not.
Here's I just want to show you, so like, here's the button there, apply for permit. And this is Marion County's idea. They're the ones that came up with it. So it takes me right into this page here. And just by adding that button, she said it tripled the number of permits. Just because people are always naturally going to begin first before they apply for
And
it.
everything's legible, you can actually read it.
And you know, you could,
I even showed John how to use it. John was able to figure it out in like 5 minutes. So. There you go.
You're a caveman.
Do you have any metrics as far as how many personnel hours you could reduce in those conversations?
Yeah.
every time Amber has to go make a list.
So actually, it was Iowa Supervisors that asked specifically for this. So what it does, it takes these statistics and we just put in default employee rate. You can actually adjust this to, like, let's say, you know, you get paid $20 an hour. And let's say the average visit on site is, let's say, 10 minutes. So I can actually tinker with these tools a little bit to show how much it actually saves the county on an annual basis. And all it's doing is it's pulling data from up here. It's like their number of unique visitors to Boone County is more than 1,000 unique visitors a day. That is 1,000 5-minute phone calls that you're not having to take. That's, I mean,
Thank you. Yeah,
yeah, and hopefully that helps.
it really does.
We can get really into it and get into, like, you know, the browsers that are used, the day of the week that it gets used the most, the time. And then it has, you know, like even has this where it'll show the hotspot times, like 7 a.m. on Monday and then Tuesday at 4 p.m. I have no idea why, but that's just what it is. So this is, yeah, I'm kind of a data nerd with some of this stuff I can go on. It's kind of maybe boring for your. Oh, here's the one I wanted to show too. It shows even like who your top users are. If you're not logged in, it'll show kind of like who your power users are. Naturally, it's going to be a lot of your county employees, but it could be something, you know, interesting like a realtor or something that you might want to maybe ping them individually and say, hey, what do you want improved on the site that we don't have? It's a good way to send out surveys.
As a side, that was where I was going with that.
In Iowa, though, it's tough because most of them are anonymous users because you're not really required to log in to see a lot of information. But when you go to different states, they have different ways of paying for things, and sometimes they have subscriptions to help cover the costs. So like South Dakota, it's a pay window right away. Minnesota, it's kind of a hybrid. If you want to see some of those comparable sales, you have to pay for that. But if you just want to go to your own property, it's free. And the counties that are geographically farther away from like Minneapolis, usually that benefit the most. So Iowa is not there yet in terms of charging subscriptions. It is available.
I would think that would cut down on some of the user. They have way on realtors, but just a casual user, if they had to pay for something.
Yes, and that's why they, like in Minnesota is a good example. Like you can still go to John Kurt's property and see how much he's paying in taxes, you know, that. But if you want to do like more of that, I call it the commercial side of things, you know, looking up sales and all that, that usually is a possibly more money. Just because I promised to show it. And then I'll just end with this. So we're also really good at pulling all those different data sources, as I said. We also work with Eagle View, which is pictometry. They have it is viewed, their data is viewed through our browser more than any other company of all around the world. So here is that Eagle View view. You have the dates. I can even, you know, add layers if I need to, like contours and streets. And really all that is just kind of get that different perspective. What I like about this is if you're on the phone with someone and they're standing right here in their backyard, you now have a better idea of what they're trying to describe to you, you know, kind of help tell that story. In Keokuk County, Iowa, at a supervisor meeting, two people are arguing. One farmer's land was flooded. Which way does water go? Downhill. And he decided to take a backhoe and empty water out of his field. And, you know, where did it go? Down to the other farmer's field. And the other farmer was standing on the public road and videotaping it. He's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. So, but they were able to mediate, but the supervisors were trying to mediate and they had no concept of where this was located. And they were able to pull up beacon to get a better sense of what they were trying to describe, paint that story.
Where are you pulling the contours from? Is that included with the LiDAR data? Or?
That is, I think the state of Iowa does it. Yeah, so that's everything too, right? Like the Barnacle thing, that's just free data. We just pull. So if there's something off the, like a DOT or DNR that you want on there, you just tell us and we pull that
Go
data.
find it.
We can't, like guarantee it because we don't create it, but we can at least, pull that data.
It'll be close.
Yep, and I could get, to all the sexy stuff like section, quarters, subdivisions, blocks, but Keith might find that fun, but yeah, no one else will. The only other thing I left out was just because he's not here is the engineer. We have like, bridges and culverts that'll show up on Beacon from the local engineering company. They create that data and they want a place to put it. They can put it up on here, the reports and everything else.
Have you considered road closures and things like that? I mean, everybody's on your site already.
Yes, kind of, sort of. It's just that someone at the county needs to manage that and tell us when those changes need to occur.
Service bureau have them.
Yes, that's where it gets a little like, the easy answer for that is honestly is that Beacon is that place to go get data. And we can just throw like a hyperlink up there that says, a better example would be like, what's the Viking thing? RAGBRAI. So like, I know everyone was, I know. I'm not asking for opinions on RAGBRAI.
Did you just see the right?
Yeah, I'm just saying, so like, let's say you have to prep for RAGBRAI and you want to put, here's where the route's going to be, here's where this is going to be. No one's ever, no, we're at a public meeting. I'll just keep rambling, so I'll just be quiet. Any questions? Besides looking up random cousins' property values, is there any questions?
I'll make a comment as
Yes.
a retired realtor. I feel Beacon was very easy to use. You've got a lot of stuff that I never used as a realtor that I didn't know that information was there. So it's easier to get around and have all the information. Our current information, we have to go, if you want tax information, you go here. If you want sales, you go here. I like what Beacon has to offer.
So do I have a question.
Yes.
Yes.
Am I correctly understanding that the county would purchase this software and then the entire county would be available for them to use?
Typically,
Yes.
yes. The question for us and residents both.
Yeah, it's a very good question. So the whole idea behind Beacon is that, like I said, it's that online courthouse, right? Wherever it's taking all of that current public information and putting it all into one spot. You can do research in your own time. I really want to stress that this is all, if you asked for any of this information up here, you could walk up to a counter and ask for this information. I don't get too deep into the weeds, but there are ways to suppress parcels as well. If there's some kind of, safe at home. And
Didn't think about that.
yeah, it's where it's like, you can't even search, obviously there's ways to get your names off, like put into a trust or something. But if you don't want a property searchable, you have the ability to completely, back to blue. That was the word. They call it something different in each state. Yeah. Very good. Okay. I guess this is the point where I just say, I'm really just here to show this off. If you would like to have another conversation, be more than open to that. So.
I would like to have another conversation. Keith, what's your thoughts?
Just in what the cost offset is. So, exchanging that out for personal hours and things like that.
I can email that to you guys.
Yeah, like-
I really think the department heads that would be utilizing this need to be involved also.
Yeah.
Like Evan and obviously the assessor, we don't want to overwhelm him, he just come on board today.
And yeah, out of respect for Chris, obviously he did not know what was gonna, it's the first day, I think, we're
Yeah,
today, right?
yeah.
So,
I just think if it's a route that the board was serious about looking into, it's going to be a work in progress with working with the department heads, figuring out funding and
Yep.
take it by steps.
Right. I mean, and our current system, we have to pay for.
Yes.
So it would just be taken one system against the other system.
right.
Do you know if there's any grants for the data migration and things like that?
3 years ago, yes, the ARPA stuff, but probably not currently. I would say with our current climate, probably not. But I would just, my only comment is because you have the different siloed programs that she had mentioned, when you're looking at us, you have to, we are more expensive if you look at one piece of the pie. We need to look at the collective piece of pie versus in compared to ours.
That's where that big data migration and
Yeah.
culture change happens.
Like the cool thing is if you got this, people know how to use it instantly because all the surrounding counties have it.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't our GIS department use some technology from,
You probably have, do you guys have Sidwell? Probably the porticos.
What we do. But, yeah, I guess.
Oh,
to me that they did, but I could.
Are you, your emails are available, right? Online. I'll send you some information.
Evan's listed. Mhm. Here pops in, currently we have Arcus Pro and
Art Pro, yeah.
Arc Pro and QGIS.
The readers that.
Yeah, so-
that don't read.
And I'll try, I respect Rob, and I don't wanna. Yeah, Art Pro is the program that manages all these layers. This beacon, the portal, actually will pull from Art Pro and pushes it out to the public. So you still need Art Pro. QGIS is a program that manages GIS layers as well. That's a freebie program. So, be more than happy to chat with Evan if he's physically here.
He's definitely here.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to you, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Bring your lunch.
Oh. Yes, that's it.
I don't know.
Is it like a yearly subscription then to the?
Yes.
Be an annual review. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Kind of like our financial software, we have to pay an annual fee on that, so we continue to get all the updates.
Right. Could they see my screen in the meeting?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
I should have asked to begin with. Is this yours?
Now you can just leave it right there on the table.
All right, out of respect for time, I just said I'll just keep.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time.
Okay, I'll send you, can I send you guys a group email or should it be individual? I didn't know how that works.
That's fine.
You can send that group.
Okay. So just you have my contact and you can ask me any questions that you have.
And like you did mention with Chris being here his first day, this might be overwhelming because I think Floyd County uses something.
Floyd County used to have Beacon, but then they chose to, they're the only one I've ever lost, but I wasn't employed at the time. It's complicated.
Why do they use anything though?
They have the Vanguard site, which is an assessor driven site. But it only has the values. It doesn't have the taxes on there.
I'm sure it's very well familiar with their products too, but.
Yeah, he was the deputy assessor at Floyd at the time. I know Chris, but not that well. But yeah, but out of respect, I mean, we had arranged to do this meeting and then I found out today was his first day. I'm like, well, I called you about it. I'm like, well, let's just go ahead and go through with it. I already got the hotel reserved.
You know, and what I can do is I can send Ryan, send out a group email with some of these department heads. Let him do a little deal and let's let Chris get his feet on the ground and I would say he would probably be one of the main ones. At once we get rolling, let's set something up where all the department heads could come in and go through it.
Yep.
That would be good.
My only sense of urgency would just be just because of fiscal year stuff. But
Yeah. Well, this is gonna have budget repercussions too, so we have to decide how we wanna.
Well, I haven't even told you price yet.
No, and we haven't.
Yeah, and you haven't asked for it.
Yeah.
I would just say, tell me you want to keep moving forward and then we can talk about some of those details.
I would definitely want to keep moving forward with it. It's a lot better than what we have now.
Well, I think multiple departments would find benefits in this and much more so than what we have right now.
Actually, I think the public would find benefits in it
Oh,
too.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you, Ryan.
Appreciate the comments.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Appreciate your time.
Yeah, so I'll just, like I said, I'll just send you a sample email. Kind of go.
Good. See you again.
Yes,
Okay,
You can push.
I feel like I'm at three
See you later.
stages.
Don't let it hit you in the shins or in hindsight, or it's gonna hurt. Just push hard.
Okay.
Hang on to
It's
this.
like,
There you go.
okay.
Thank you, everyone.
We did, have public comment earlier, but I will open up if there's more public comment.
Yeah, downstairs,
Okay,
downstairs and to the right, and then just knock on the door at the end of the hall.
okay, thank you.
Anything else for public comment? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Thanks, everybody, for sticking around.